Oh, I don't know why I keep saying that, but hello, folks. Buckle in and grab a snack and maybe a pillow to hide behind today, because we're diving into something a bit creepy but absolutely fascinating. We're going into the mind of a psychopath, a roller coaster of charm, control and cold calculation, and I'll take you through the mindset of psychopaths. We'll meet 5 notorious serial killers. Yes, we're going there, mate. And we'll ask the big question: how do psychopaths end up in positions of power like CEOs, world leaders, maybe even your boss, or could be someone you know? And yes, I'll be asking you what you think, so drop those comments in as we go, because we're going to find out all about these psychopaths starting right now.
Analyzing the news.
Hiya mate, let me get me thingy on. My Osmo's not working. If you don't know what an Osmo is, it's a bloody camera. It should be coming on over there. Let me get my camera on. Just give me a second. The screen's gonna go black, so don't worry. Nothing bad's gonna happen. It's because what we do when we do these videos, we kind of go live. Can you not see me? I don't know what's going on there. I'm doing a video about psychopaths and my system's gone down. Maybe I'm talking to or messing around with stuff you shouldn't be messing around with. But the thing is, right, listen, we've got to sort of talk about stuff like that, because there is people in the world who are a bit naughty, aren't they? I want to say naughty. They're bloody idiots. They've got no empathy, no emotions. They don't care. Now, that's fine. People can please themselves, right? But if it's a detriment to us and they're inflicting their little narcissistic behaviour on us, then we need to have a conversation about it, don't we? We need to find out what's bloody going on. Like I said, I'm trying to get my camera on, so I do apologise. Actually, while I'm waiting for that, I'll get a picture up for you so you know kind of what a psychopath looks like, because most of us, we haven't got a bloody clue. What do they look like? Huh? They look like me and you. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, this is one. We're going to go over him in a minute before I tell you his name. His name's Jeffrey Dahmer. He was a bit of a psychopath, wasn't he? They did a documentary on him, like a drama about his life, and it's on Netflix. If you ever get the chance to watch it, I suggest you do, because it's entertainment, but it's a bit sick, to be honest. And that's just been dramatized. The reality was probably a lot more darker than you're getting shown on bloody Netflix. But yeah, that's more for entertainment purposes, really. So there you go. That's an image of a psychopath. They look normal, don't they? Yeah, they look perfectly normal, just like me and you. They don't look like monsters or anything like that. When you're a kid, you think, oh, a psychopath's this monster wearing his hood, or they live in the shadows, but they don't. They live among us, and this is what we've got to be aware of, because there seems to be absolutely tons of them, especially this day and age. After what's going on in the world, if you constantly watch the news, you'll realise that there's not a lot of nice people about. So let's get down to it. So what is a psychopath? Okay, if we want to know if we want to avoid one, we need to know what one looks like. Yeah. Okay. So let me switch to the other screen. I got my camera up there, by the way. So thanks for that. Again, this is live, guys. It's not edited. It's all live. So what exactly is a psychopath? It's not just a scary movie villain, like we said in Netflix. There's a lot of research behind it. Psychopathic tendencies involves traits like superficial charm, charisma, lack of empathy, manipulation, and often a cool, composed exterior. And why are they so charming? Because they're acting, because they're projecting to the world that they're this kind of person, when the reality is they're not who you think they are. You'll find a lot of people there's more psychopaths than men, by the way, apparently. But you find a lot of women say, I was in a relationship with a guy and he was lovely and he was charming until he gained my trust, and then he took everything away from me and I didn't even see it coming. It was like a different person. I didn't know who he was, because he's a psychopath, because he's basically an actor. Remember what I said, it's all composed exterior. Now, they know right from wrong, psychopaths. They understand the rules, they just don't care. Now, sometimes we don't care about things, but they really don't care. They haven't got the ability to care, or at least not in the way normal people do, okay? So think about that for a moment. Someone who can smile, talk, and make you trust them, while inside they're calculating something totally different. That's creepy, right, isn't it? How can you bloody trust anyone when you don't know who you're freaking talking to? There's me over camera, are you? If you see me moving from this camera to that one, do apologise, but we're going live, aren't we? So there you go. That's basically the nutshell. Well, not a nutshell, it's a lot deeper than that, but psychopaths cannot be trusted. But you can't spot them because they're charming. So when someone's always positive and charming and charismatic and all this crap, just be aware. Just think, wait a minute. Nobody's that nice, are they? No one's that charming, because in life we have ups and downs, swings and roundabouts. So again, they know right from wrong. They know exactly what they're doing. So they're actors. Now, we're going to get deeper into this, okay? So just bear with me. But just understand the first step to a psychopath, so if you're trying to avoid one, is they're very good actors. Because they've learned to speak to people in a way that gains trust. Because what they do, they don't feel empathy like you would. So they've got the ability to mimic it, almost copy it perfectly. So then they come across as charismatic and charming. And when someone's charismatic and charming and makes you feel good, you're going to be naturally drawn to them. And that's what they want you to do. Okay. So again, a psychopath basically is superficial charm, lack of empathy, and most cases, well, all cases, they're very manipulating. Now, that's the first thing you need to be aware of. Now, I've got a question for you. Have you ever met someone who felt too smooth or too good to be true? And when you have met them, your mind tells you one thing, but what does your gut tell you? Put in the comments. Has that happened to you? Now, psychopaths versus serial killers aren't the same thing. So when people say, oh, he's a psychopath, it doesn't mean he's a serial killer. That's different. You might think, okay, serial killers, psychopaths, but the reality is not that clean. A study found that only about 27% of homicide, which is murder offences, qualified as psychopaths. So there you go. That's not big, is it, really? And experts say, no, not at all. Serial killers are psychopaths. So there's an overlap, but there are also serial killers with other motives, delusions, ideological drives, greed, or psychopaths who never kill anyone, but they've got massive egos. And if you don't know what an ego is that bloody voice in your head who keeps on talking to you. We've all got one. And you say, I haven't got an ego. I say, well, that voice in your head. And you go, what voice? I'm like, that one. All right, do you get me? We've all got one. It's called an ego. Okay, it doesn't mean you're arrogant or anything like that. It just means we've all got internal dialogue in our voice telling us a story. And usually we can sort of ignore it. But some people have this ego, this voice that's so strong that it controls them because they pay attention to it. Because they think that they're the voice in their head, when the reality is, it's not. It's just the ego, okay? There he is, the big clown, the scary man himself. If you don't know who he is, you're going to find out. He was a serious serial killer. Now the mindset, let's look at it. So let's break it down. Let's pick apart some key features of psychopath's mindset. So again, charm and manipulation. They can appear normal, friendly, charismatic, and that is part of the trick. Lack of empathy or remorse. They don't possess or process feelings in the way most of us do. The suffering of others. If you see someone get hurt, you'll feel a sense of empathy, like you don't want to just stand there and let someone be hurt. Your automatic response is to go over to them and make sure they're okay. A psychopath doesn't have that trait. Psychopaths are usually thrill-seeking as well because they get bored. They often crave new stimulation, playing big, dangerous games like taking risks, dominating. And another one is control and power. The feeling of being in charge, whether other victims are in corporate bedrooms. That can be a big one. Have you ever seen that film, American Psycho? I used to work for a big corporate company many years ago, and I'm not going to say what company it was, but I went for a meal and I was sitting down with the CEO, and I mean this was a big company, and if I told you what it was, you'd know it straight away. Multi-billion-pound company, and I got to meet the CEO at the time, and I'm not joking, he had a magnetism about him, but it felt very uncomfortable, very intimidating, and he was just a man. But then you see him on the telly and he's dead charming, charismatic. But when I was sitting with him, put it this way, I didn't eat the meal. And he wasn't a big man, he wasn't ugly, he just has a presence about him that made me, it almost sucked the life out of you. Very strange feeling it was, and this was a long time ago, but I always remember that, and I thought, that's a psychopath. So what else is there? There's other things that we can look into as well, so it's not just that. There's plenty more things that you need to be aware of, because you might be a psychopath, and you think, well, how do you know if you're a psychopath? Do you have empathy? Now, some people have higher empathy levels than others, but some people have no empathy. But again, it doesn't mean you're going to kill anyone, because you still know right from wrong. But again, control and power, that's the big one. So what do you reckon? Which of those traits stands out the most for you, and why? You find a lot of salespeople, high-driven salespeople, successful, high sales-driven people have got psychopathic tendencies, because they don't care. They just want to get the sale. They don't care if you can afford it. They want the sale. So they'll be charismatic, charming, then controlling just to get you to sign and buy the product that you don't bloody need, really. You don't really need anything except for a roof over your head, a bit of water and some food. That's all you need. Everything else is just crap, isn't it? So then you've got, let's look at top 5 serial killers, okay? This is a big one. So we've got a point of reference that we can look at. Let's have a look. So this is the top 5 serial killers. Let's have a look. Here we go. Right, we're going to look at, I'm going to get some pictures up for you in a second, but you've got Ted Bundy. Now, he was an American serial killer, and he was active between the mid-1970s, and he confessed to around 30 murders. Though, and this is what the police believe, there was a lot more. He was very charming, educated as well, so he wasn't stupid. And he even volunteered and used that to lure his victims. His motive was control, possession, power over his victims. If you don't know about Ted Bundy, look it up. I'm not going to go into it now because it's unnerving. So what's your thoughts on that? What creeps you out the most about someone like this? He was charming women. He was a good-looking man. He didn't need to do what he did. Then you've got Jeffrey Dahmer. He was the guy I was telling you about before, the image on the screen. He was an American serial killer. He had 17 victims from 1978 to 1991, and his crimes included necrophilia, dismemberment, cannibalism. Really disturbing stuff. If you get the chance, watch it on Netflix. It'll creep you out. but it's all true. And he highlighted how the mind of a serial killer can hide in plain sight behind normal looking exterior. So let me ask you guys, when you hear cannibal serial killers, what comes to mind? Is it a horror movie? Realization that people like that actually do exist? And then you've got John Wayne Gacy. He's the guy you can see here dressed as a clown. He was known as the killer clown because he dressed as a clown for kids' parties, and he murdered 33 young men, teens in the 1970s. Just giving you a short summary, more painful details, I'm not going to go into that. But if you want to find out more, just look it up. And what's your take on that? How does a friendly clown image change the way you feel now you know this? That's why a lot of kids actually don't like clowns. I don't like clowns. They're bloody creepy. Why would a freaking fully grown man dress as a flipping clown, right? Back in the 70s and 80s, it was normal because people were bored and they had nothing to entertain them. But this day and age, people who dress as clowns, sorry if that's your job, it's a bit odd. In it, but you can get some people who are professional circus clowns and they do a pretty good job, but there's some people who just, they're hiding behind that red nose and that red lipstick and that green wig and all that. There's something very sinister about them, and it just doesn't resonate with me. If I ever see a clown, I think, idiot. And they might not be a psychopath. I just think it's very emotionally, mentally immature. But again, some clowns are performers and they dress like clowns because that's their identity when they're on the stage engaging with the rest of the audience. Right? There you go. Then you've got Edmund Kemper. Have you ever heard of this guy? Right, this guy's he's not a nice fella at all. He's an American serial killer, and in the 1970s, he killed 6 young women, and his mother and her friend. He even killed his own bloody mum. And he was tall. He was actually 6'9". That's tall. So can you imagine that? A big giant like that going around killing you. But the thing is, he was very intelligent, and he was very calm and gentle. Well, that's what he come across like, but obviously he wasn't. Again, what do you think? When someone is super calm and super smart, does that make them more or less scary? And then you've got Eileen. I can never pronounce the surname. Is it Wuones? Something like that. Again, there's a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if it's come out yet, but it's coming out. There was a film about her called Monster. She was a female serial killer. And this female serial killer killed 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990. And her motives were very complicated because she claimed self-defense, and many victims said they were abusive towards her, and that's why she did it, because she was a prostitute. And because they were cruel to her, she killed them. So when you talk about serial killers, we often imagine men, don't we? It doesn't really feel the same when you've got a female serial killer. But again, you never know, do you? So we always assume it's a man, but it's not always the case, is it? So there's that one for you. Then you've got, let's have a look. What else we've got here? I've got loads here. Let's have a look. Here we go. This is a big one. This is one that concerns me a little bit. Psychopaths in power. CEOs, world leaders, even your boss. Now, let's shift gears. What about the people without murdering sprees, but who use psychopathic traits to climb the ladder? The successful psychopath. Research shows that some psychopaths don't end up in prison. They end up in the boardrooms, politics, leadership roles. They use charm, manipulation, risk-taking, and a lack of remorse for advancement. They might not kill physically, but they might destroy careers, companies, and lives. Have you ever worked under someone who felt too perfect, too smooth, always on, only to find later they were shady corners that might ring a little bit of concerns? So what allows them to rise? Now, a few guesses. How does psychopaths become successful in the boardroom? Well, it's quite easy when you think about it. They take big risks when others hesitate. They appear confident and strong when many reward leaders for that because they don't care. They don't suffer guilt, so they can make tough choices that no one else wants to make. But there's a downside. Environments with little oversight where results matter more than how things may be developing. In other words, they're not bothered about the outcome for other people as long as they get what they want. Do you think we should train leaders to detect these traits, or is it too late once they're in? And that's the thing, you see. You get that with politicians, don't you? A lot of politicians are psychopaths. Because when you look at the world, they're not really doing things for us, even though they're appointed by us to serve us. But they're not doing it, are they? And you think, why is that? Are they psychopaths? Makes sense, doesn't it? Makes perfect sense. So why does psychopaths succeed or kill? What triggers? What enables them? Let's ask that. What factors push someone with psychopathic traits towards murder versus corporate success? Again, opportunity. Fewer checks. A psychopath is high in power, role may channel manipulative risks, taking a certain behaviour into business rather than crime. Then you've got the environment. Why have they become a psychopath? Is it the environment? Is it their upbringing? Some killers had childhood trauma, abuse, early animal cruelty is a big one. When you see little kids hurting animals, that's a big red flag. So if you've got children and they're hurting little animals, you need to get that sorted, because I've seen it 1,000 times. I haven't seen kids hurt animals, but I've read into this stuff and I've got a degree in psychology. I won't say that to brag, I'm telling you, because there's certain stuff you have to be aware of. And I've read lots of case studies about this. Now, some people have normal childhoods and still develop psychological or psychopathic traits. So detection in consequence. If society or law enforcement is weak, violent outcomes may follow. If there's a strong structure, the energy might be channeled differently, but it could be for better or it could be for worse. Again, what's your view? Do you think it's mostly nature? Are they born this way? Or is it nurture, environment? What is it and why? Let me know. What do you think? Let's get him up again. There again. There's an image of him. I'm going to get a few more faces on there in a second so you can see them. So what can you do? Yes, for us regular folk, not to end on a doom note, there are things that you can watch for. Humour intact. Keep a good sense of humour. What's that saying? If they say if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And that's a good thing to remember, actually. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. So laugh. Keep it positive all the time. And before you know it, you won't get stressed. You won't feel threatened. You won't feel fear, because psychopaths and predators are going to go for the weakest link. But if you're a happy, high, emotional, vibrational, upbeat person, you're less likely to get attacked, aren't you? Because you're on a different level. So again, that's something you can be aware of, just to help you out and avoid you from being attacked from these monsters. So if someone is charming and always seems to have an ulterior motive, keep an eye on them. And if someone takes all the credit and never admits their mistakes and walks over people, that's a red flag. If you feel weird, drained, or used after spending time with someone, trust your gut feeling. But remember, don't become paranoid. Not everyone who's charismatic is a psychopath. Much of life is nuanced. So my mate's really charming, but he's got a heart of gold. So they're not all like that. You'll know if it doesn't feel right. So after hearing this, is there someone you'll be watching more closely? Not in a weird way, just a healthier boundary way. Because you've got to watch yourself, haven't you? Because again, every time I look at the news, and I do watch the news a lot now, I'm finding it more and more that people are getting killed all the time. And it's like, what is going on? It is lunacy. Before I did this video, I went on the local news, and there was about 5 murders. Now, that's uncommon. You don't normally see that. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about bloody murderers. You know what I mean? Don't want to do that. I want to talk about something a little bit more positive. But again, it's definitely on the rise, and we have to be aware of it, don't we, guys? What do you think? Do you think it's on the rise? Have you noticed a shift in change in people's behaviour? All right, we've covered a lot of this chilling mindset of psychopaths. 5 of the most infamous serial killers. How those same traits can show up in power and leadership, and how you can spot some signs in real life. I'd like to know, in fact I'd love to know, which part surprised you the most? Was it the idea that not all serial killers are psychopaths? Or that psychopath traits can lead to CEO's office instead of prison cells? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me which serial killer you found most disturbing and why. Or share an experience that you think fits the successful psychopath type. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe for more weird and wonderful brain stuff. And share with someone who needs to hear this, or maybe needs to hear that you're onto them. Who needs to hear this, or maybe needs to hear that you're onto them? Believe me, I'm sure you know someone. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me. But stay safe. While you're out there, don't be silly or naive.
Analyzing the news.